Welcome back to the channel. We're back in our PlayStation Commander deck profile with Nathan Drake, Treasure Hunter. For blue, black, and red, you get a Jury 2-wood first strike. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast spells you don't own, or activate abilities of permanents you control but don't own. And whenever Nathan Drake attacks, exile top card of each player's library, may cast a spell from among those cards. So we have plenty of ways to make sure we're stealing our opponent's stuff in ways other than just Nathan Drake's ability. Ways to make sure that he's unblockable or can survive combat. This way we could swing in with him without necessarily having to worry about having to recast him every time we want to replay him. Some ways to give him haste. This way he could attack the turn he comes down. The first strike is nice, but normally doesn't mean he's surviving combat every time. Since we are also casting from exile, we have some synergies with that as well. Overall, just a whole bunch of fun stuff. Let's get into it card by card. Starting us off, we have Arcane Signet. We are going to need quite a bit of mana since a lot of our stuff is a little bit expensive to cast, and to make sure we're able to cast not only our stuff, but our opponent's stuff as well. Balls of Citadel. This way we don't have to waste mana casting our stuff. Let's just use a little bit of our life to cast it off the top of our deck instead. And you can also sacrifice 10 non-land permanents and each opponent loses 10 life. Maybe you'll get enough of your opponent's permanents on your board. We're able to do that. Brotherhood Regalia, our first way to make Nathan Drake unblockable, giving him that Ward 2 on top of it as well. Only 1 to equip it, 2 to cast it, so by the time you get him on the board, you should have enough to be able to get this out as well and equipped onto him. But yeah, some good source of protection, and make sure he's able to deal out damage. Dream Deep's Bandana. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, look at the top card of their library, exile face down. For as long as it remains exiled, you can play it, and spend mana so it's mana of any type. Similar to Brotherhood Regalia, where we should be able to cast this super easily as long as like Nathan Drake's on the battlefield. Getting 2 cards off someone's deck, the person that we're able to deal out combat damage to. But overall, just having more stuff to cast from our opponent's decks is going to help us proceed with the gameplay of this deck that much more. Interdimensional Web Watch. Whenever this artifact enters, exile top 2 cards of your library. Till end of your next turn, you may play those cards, and you can also add 2 mana in any combination of colors. You can only use this to cast cards from exile, but we're going to tend to use this to cast the stuff that we exile from the top of our opponent's decks. Overall, another way to help us just steal our opponent's stuff. Do the thing Nathan Drake wants to do. Lightning Grease. Our first way to give Nathan Drake haste there. This way he can attack the turn he comes down. Get this out turn 2, get the Nathan Drake out turn 3. Maybe get this out turn 1 if you had a Soul Ring. Mithril Coat. Way to make Nathan Drake indestructible. We don't necessarily need him to deal combat damage, we just need him to attack. And yeah, as long as he's indestructible, he can attack all he wants. Well, not all he wants, he can only attack once per turn. You could, in theory, do multiple combat spells, like, in this deck, but you don't necessarily need to. I mean, it'll help you steal more stuff, but there's better cards just to run with him, I feel. Soul Ring for that additional mana. Swiftfoot Boots for a second copy Lightning Grease, essentially. Talisman of Dominance for extra mana. Talisman of Indulgence, because we're indulging in our opponent's cards. The One Ring for that extra protection, and it's a legendary artifact. I feel it fits the theming that we're going for here. The Reaver Cleaver. This way you can have Nathan Drake deal a little bit of combat damage, giving that trample on top of that first strike. A little bit of stat boost on top of that as well. And the treasure tokens are just going to be helpful in terms of casting our opponent's stuff. Not free, but like a little bit more free. Thieves' Tools. Enters, create a treasure token, so you're basically getting it for 1. Equipped creature can't be blocked as long as its power is 3 or less, which, that's what Nathan Drake is on the dot. Almost like it was made to go on him. It was not made to go on him. This card is, what was this card from? This printing's from Jumpstart 2025, but I don't know what the other printings are from. Whisper Silk Cloak, equipped creature can't be blocked and has Shroud. Another way to make him unblockable. Another way to make him unblockable and a little bit of protection on top of that. Once again, it's not so much that we need him to deal damage, it's that we need him to not be blocked by something big enough to destroy him. Following up, we have Agent of Treachery for 7 mana, 2-3. Beginning of your end step, if you control 3 more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. Unfortunately, we can't cast the card off the top of everyone's deck, but you do get control of the target permanent your opponent controls anytime this enters, and, casting your opponent's other stuff, they'll tend to get you those 3 cards at a certain point. Black Cat, Cunning Thief, enters, look at top 9 cards of target opponent's library, exile 2 of them face down, rest on the bottom. I may play cards exiled as long as they remain exiled, mana of any type. Does the same thing except to one person's deck, and you're basically looking at the top 9 is going to tend to get you at least 1 card that's going to be useful, maybe 2. Either way, it's more stuff that you're stealing from your opponent to get some effects that we'll be getting onto right now with Brainstealer Dragon. For 5 and 2 black, you get 6/6 with flying. At the beginning of your end step, exile top card of each opponent's library. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana of any color. Whenever a non-land permanent an opponent owns enters the battlefield under your control, which Nathan Drake's ability, Black Cat's ability, not Agent of Treachery. Agent of Treachery is just another benefit. They lose life equal to its mana value, so maybe you're stealing their 6 mana, 4 mana spells even. That's going to add up in terms of damage to them. Oh, Doughty Voidwalker. If a card we put into an opponent's graveyard, exile and send. Helps us get around those graveyard decks. Sacrifice this creature, choose an exiled card, play it without paying its mana cost. I mean, your opponent's going to have something useful on their board. We're going to have some sources of removal. This can just work well together, and also it fits the rogue synergy. Down Andros, the Renegade, each creature you control but don't own gets +2/+2 menace and death touch. You'll steal some creatures. They're also pirates. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell you don't own, create 2 treasure tokens. Gives us that mana to keep on casting more and more of our opponent's stuff. Especially since we're only doing like 1 a turn. And until we get to like stuff like Itali, where we just get everyone's stuff for free. Itali attacks, exile top card of each player's library. Once again, we could give it like some of the stuff we were kind of put on Nathan Drake, like those Lightning Grease, Swiftfoot Boots, Brotherhood Regalia, make it unblockable, making sure you can attack for free. You could get some free spells on top of each player's deck. Dante, Lord of Luxury. Enter battlefield, look top 4 cards, target opponent's library, exile 1 and face down, basically a worse version of Black Cat, but like 1 mana less. May cast a spell for as long as it remains exiled, mana of any type. Ganti, Nightmaster. Be careful when you play this, just because I played it the other day and it backfired. Whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure token. Great. We're going to be creating those treasure tokens left and right. But whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller looks at the top card of that opponent's library and exiles its face down. They could spend mana of any type and keep on casting it. They'll get those treasure tokens as well. So, that could be a lot of cards they're stealing, especially if someone's running tokens. Just a word of warning. I'm not going to tell the whole story. Hostage Taker enters the battlefield, exile another target creature or artifact until its card leaves the battlefield. May cast cards as long as they remain exiled, mana of any type. We've seen the effect, we like the effect. Keeper Secrets, first strike haste. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, maybe from exile, from your opponent's top of their deck, who knows. Deal damage equal to that spell's mana value to the target opponent. Same as the Brainstealer Dragon, just a lot less mana. Laughing Jasper Flint, creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries in addition to our other types, aka all the stuff we stole from our opponents. And at the beginning of your upkeep, exile top X cards the target opponent's library, where X is the number of outlaws you control. It could be quite a lot. Till end of turn, you may cast spells from among those cards and of any type to cast those spells. Which, it adds up. You're going to be stealing a lot of stuff. You're going to be exiling a lot of stuff. Maybe you'll even deck them out. Who knows? Now, Feshni, flying, whenever you cast a spell from exile, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. If it's a permanent spell, you get a second copy, but it does get sacrificed at the beginning of the end step. But, maybe we stole our opponent's board wipe. We get a second board wipe. Maybe they had a 15/15 and they thought they'd survive the Blasphemous Act we stole. Not anymore. Nashi, Moon, Sage of Scion. Another way to steal some of our opponent's stuff off the top of their deck. We don't have to spend mana, we just get to spend some life like it was a Bulls the Citadel. Opposition Agent, more ways to steal our opponent's stuff. Control our opponents while they're searching. Exile those cards instead, and you get to cast them. Plargan Nasari, for 5 mana, 5/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player exiles top card of the library. It's more stuff for us to steal. As opponent chooses a non-land card exiled this way, you may cast up to 2 spells from among the other cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. So basically, one person gets to choose, like, hey, no, you can't cast that one, but we get to cast the rest for free. Prosperous Homebound. At the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. Another way to get some stuff into exile, because we have the cast from exile synergy in here as well. And whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token, which helps us get more mana, gets more of our opponent's stuff. Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer, another way to steal one of our opponent's cards every turn. I like to see it, especially if we could have a way to give it like Whisper Silk Cloak, Thieves' Tool, stuff like that. Rev, Tide Extractor. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to play, create treasure token, look at top card of that player's library, exile face down, you could cast it instead. I mean, we just want to not play our own deck. We want to play our opponent's deck. So, let's go ahead and do it. Thief of Sanity deals combat damage to a player, look top 3 cards of that player's library, one face down, rest into the graveyard. You may cast a card from as long as it remains exiled. They don't know what it is. It's face down. So, it always like makes you think like, oh, is there my best card there? Probably not. Probably your Thieving Varmint, which is actually a really good card. So you have to tap it, pay 1 life, but you get 2 mana of any one color. And you can use to cast spells you don't own. I mean, we're going to be casting spells we don't own. So we'll take it. Tiny Bones, the Pickpocket. Huh, I guess that was his full title. But yeah, basically it's cast spells from your opponent's graveyards. Doesn't have that same like cast from exile synergies that we have with some of our other cards, but has the stealing synergy. Wild Magic Sorcerer, cast it from exile each, and also, sorry, we also have all those things that make our stuff unblockable, so this helps us as well. Wild Magic Sorcerer, another way to benefit from casting those cards from exile, giving us that cascade. Maybe we cast one of our opponent's 5 mana things, we get our 2 mana thing. Xantar, another way to steal our opponent's stuff, essentially. I don't think I need to go into that one. Everyone knows Xantar. Enchantments, Aqueous Form, whenever enchanted creature attacks, scry 1. Once again, don't need to necessarily worry about if they're blocked or not, but they can't be blocked, which is the real reason we run it. Another way to make sure Nathan Drake can attack for free. Core Lockdwayne, becoming Monarch, so a little bit of extra draw power there. Upkeep, exile top card, target opponent's library. For the Monarch, we get to cast it for free. Yeah, I think you want to cast your opponent's stuff for free. I think you just want to cast your opponent's stuff. So let's do both of those. Cunning Rhetoric, whenever an opponent attacks you and one or more planeswalkers you control, sell top card of that player's library, play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Yeah, once again, another way to steal our opponent's stuff. We want to steal our opponent's stuff. We want to cast it from exile. We want to get those benefits. Mind Isolation, whenever an opponent casts their first spell each turn, that player exiles the top card of the library. If it's a non-land card, cast without paying its mana cost. It's gonna happen a whole bunch. It's 7 mana, so it is a little bit pricey, so I'm not saying for certain you'll get to cast it, but when you do, you got to really go off with this deck. Passionate Archaeologist, whenever you cast a spell from exile, this creature deals damage equal to the spell's mana value to target opponent. You'd have this and your commander, but like Nathan Drake's the way we're getting our stuff from our opponent in the first place. I mean, on top of like 20 other things. But yeah, helps us deal the damage, helps us have a way to actually win the game rather than just relying on our opponent's ways to win the game. Stolen Strategy. That's basically what we're doing this whole deck. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library until the end of your turn. You may cast spells from among those exiled, mana of any type. This way we're stealing everyone's stuff, not just one person. This way you're not targeting someone, you're targeting everyone. On to the second half of the deck. We have an offer you can't refuse for a counterspell. We're playing their stuff, they're not. Arcane Denial for a counterspell, big score. We want to get some draw power so we get our stuff that benefits us. But also those treasure tokens helps us get our opponent's stuff later on. Chaos Warp, maybe your opponent got out their best thing. But you want their best thing. So let's shuffle it back into their deck, give them like, I don't know, a Soul Ring, and now you'll get their Arcane Signet from the top of their deck. Counterspell for a counterspell. Dark Ritual for the extra mana. Spend mana of any type for most of your spells, so Angry Black doesn't make a difference from any other type. Deadly Relic for some removal there. We're going to have our commander out. We're going to try to keep our commander out, so helps us do that just as well. Deflecting Swan for some protection there for our commander. Hurl Drew Hell. Exile target creature until the end of your next turn. May cast a card and spend mana of any type to cast it. Which, like, this feels like a card I've never seen, but I feel I should be seeing more. Because this is a really good card. It's not only removal, but it's, like, stealing as well. Yeah. Mana Drain. Once again, you get to spend mana of any type. We want to cast our opponent's stuff. We don't want them to cast their stuff. Memory Plunder. Nut away our opponent's stuff from their graveyard. Maybe we countered their Mana Drain, and now we're casting their Mana Drain. Siphon Insight. Nut away steal our opponent's stuff. Untimely Malfunction. Even when they do cast their stuff, we're just redirecting where it goes. Tasha, Witch Queen. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, create a 3/3 Black Demon. You're casting a lot of stuff you don't own. I don't know if you noticed that. So that's really the effect we're going for. You also get to copy some stuff in your opponent's graveyard. So that's another thing. If you like combine these two effects, it's really just the Black Demons that we're looking for. Sorcery for Blasphemous Attack for board wipe. Ensnared by Damara. Each opponent faces a villainous choice. Exile top card of the library. Until the exile non-land card, you may cast cards without paying their mana cost. Or that player exiles top 4 cards of the library. And Ensnared by Damara deals damage equal to the total mana value. Depends on what deck they're playing, what they want you to take. Jessica's Will for a little bit of extra mana. Once again, doesn't matter what mana we have in our mana pool. All of it could be used to cast our opponent's stuff. Praetor's Grasp. No, why not just... We don't need tutors for our deck. We tutor our opponent's deck. Reanimate. I mean, even if they did get their best thing, maybe we removed it. So, let's get it right back. And seize the spotlight for those treasure tokens. Maybe stealing your opponent's stuff in the first place. All the fun stuff we like to see with this deck. But overall, seems like it's going to be a fun commander. Like, just getting the Dree colors for a Deft commander is going to be fun. I guess Don Andres was also, like, an option in terms of if you want to do that prior. But, like, just having, like, something that could, like, get your engine going in the first place, I think it's going to be just a little bit better. But overall, that's the deck there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you stay tuned for future videos. And thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of the day.